Well, I'm going to come back to what that supply demand balance means in Q4, which is the traditional peak season, and also into 2025 a little bit later. There's a lot of moving parts here. But before we do so, a more immediate issue, Glyn, maybe you can help with this. As of September, we've had a bunch of security warnings in Europe and North America. Some of this seems to be related to incendiary devices. Some of it's unsaid. Russia has been mentioned as a possible cause or instigator. Have you got any insight in terms of what impact this is having on supply chains, on your members, and anything more about what exactly this threat is from that customs and border authorities are referencing but not really explaining?
Yeah, no. I think, and to be honest, Mike, you're doing a very good job because, of course, not a lot of information obviously gets circulated about situations, other than to say that this industry will always continue to focus on safety and security as the number one priorities. So we have to make sure that we are vigilant, but most importantly, we're adaptive and responsive. So as governments see a change in the threat situation, they from time to time then will implement new procedures, new requirements, which then have an impact on the supply chain. What we've seen with that recent situation, as you mentioned, is a couple of things. We've seen Germany, for example, introduce land-based border checks within the Schengen area. So that means that some truck movements across and it's actually possibly going to further expand beyond throughout Europe. It means truck movements, which previously would go seamlessly, occasionally now are actually being subject to inspections. But more immediately is an emergency amendment that was adopted in the US, which actually enhanced or increased the amount of data that they now require for their ACAS advanced cargo filing system, which means that significant more information relating to each shipment is needed to be collected by the freight forwarder from the shipper to the carrier or whoever is making that filing. Some of this information is not readily at hand and not readily in a digital form. So it is actually causing some challenges. In terms of impact, some carriers have said that whilst there is this period of flux before the rules are 100% clarified and confirmed, they're actually embargoing cargo from certain countries to the US just to avoid getting caught up in this increased filing procedure. It's not a significant number of embargoes so far, but the TSA and CBP are actually engaging with the industry to provide an FAQ or an enhanced FAQ, and they're trying to issue information. But what they're saying is they felt that it was an important enough change not to delay implementation of the need for new data. So we certainly are watching it because, of course, that can have impacts again as we move into an even further peak. It's difficult to say peak period now because we've had double-digit growth for the year. So if we go into a peak period, it could get even more, a little bit problematic.
You got those names, the countries to hand, Glyn, in terms of who's embargoed?
Well, I mean, it's very difficult to kind of highlight because again, that situation is fluid. But the US has a reference and is a list, and I think it is available because the airlines obviously got information directly and they circulate it to their forwarder customers and others. But I think the list is somewhere in the range of about 50 odd countries where they're actually saying they want enhanced information from, which includes the EU and the UK, for example. So it is, again, it's a fluid situation. And again, we're just a few days after the 9/11 anniversary. So we're always reminded this industry has to keep focused and we have to respond, regardless if it may be challenging from an operational perspective.